wanted to go over that because Meg Whitman has done a really good job of defining, I think, you in this campaign with all of the ads and the money she spent primarily on defining what you believe and a little bit about what she believes. Some of those charges, I mean, you're trying to campaign to the right, which makes a lot of sense, I think, because you're claiming you're conservative, which, you know, I won't argue with. But, you know, she'll say, well, he's not really a conservative, or he's not really the conservative in this race, and she lists kind of 4 things, well, right? She might not use that terminology.
She doesn't want to be the conservative in the race. What she's trying to do is disqualify me.
As a conservative,
and, of course, I hope everyone recognizes that. Well, what do you stand for, Meg? And by the way, please, let's go through every one of her attacks, because the attacks are either false or wrong. Or they're half-truths, please follow.
So the first one is the holy grail, I think, of liberty-leaning voters in California, which is Prop 13. Mm-hmm. She gives some good damning evidence that you were attacking at one point in your political career, Prop 13, or at least its provisions. So how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, I've been a strong supporter of Prop 13 forever. And for her to say that I don't support Prop 13 is false. It's just a lie. Now, why did Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association endorse me in 2006 for the insurance commissioner race? Because they knew that I supported Prop 13. I've had to fill out their questionnaire. I signed a no-tax pledge back in 2006. I signed a no-tax pledge again in 2009. What she's criticizing me for is Prop 39, which was 10 years ago. Prop 39 was the ballot initiative that Governor Wilson, chaired. And so here he calls me up and says, we know, Steve, you're really passionate about charter schools. Now, Prop 39 is a long time ago, but you might remember that Prop 39 had these provisions in them that requires a school district to give a school that's been chartered as a charter school equivalent facilities. Because before Prop 39 came around, when a school got chartered as a charter school, they would go to the school district, and the school district says, well, we're not going to give you any facility, or we're going to give you the shack by the dump. And so Prop 39 said, well, no, you've got to treat charter schools the same way you treat the other schools. So I was so into the charter school movement at the time, I said, this is fantastic, and I supported Prop 39. Now, Prop 39 also reduced the threshold for construction bonds for schools from 67% to 55%. So that's the crime that she's, drilling me on. Now, that was Governor Wilson, her campaign chairman, was the chairman of the Prop 39 campaign. So is she going to attack Governor Wilson in TV ads about this thing? Now, I told the people who care about this issue that I would never support Prop 39 again. I wouldn't make the trade-off between what's good for the charter school movement, to sacrifice, anything that makes it easier to pass anything that has to do with taxes or more bonds. I mean, I believe in those 2/3 requirements down to my bones. I don't support any drop, any reduction in any threshold, either budget-wise or tax-wise. That's been my position now for 8 or 9 years. It's been crystal clear. And so when she smears me over this issue, which is such an important issue with Republican voters, she knows that she's just misleading voters.
Just to be clear on this, yeah. You supported lowering the threshold to 55%. You would not do that again?
I didn't. That's not the reason why I supported Prop 39. So I supported Prop 39 because of the charter school provisions, and I held my nose to the provision that reduced the threshold for bonds.
And you would not do that
Absolutely
again?
not. And in fact, I've told people I regret I would never do that.
Okay.
Now, if I could take it over, I would. And this is 10 years ago now.
Okay.
It's 2 years.
This is different than excusing the vote. This is saying, I made a mistake.
I made a mistake. I'm completely I'm proud of what the charter school provision ended up being one of the best things that's ever happened to the charter school movement. The reason why we went from a handful of charter schools in 2000 to over 809 of them today partly has to do with Prop 39. Nevertheless, I would find other ways to get that Prop 30, the charter school provisions done and not stick it into this.
Okay. What about past contributions to Democratic candidates, including the current vice president? Was there something I read, I think today, someone was accusing that you had supported Joe Biden? Yeah.
God, no.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see that? No. Well, there's all kinds of falsehoods. Yeah. No, I've never heard that one before. No, the issue is my family contribution to Al Gore. That's the one that she advertised about. Now, okay. So we've talked about this before here, in fact. People have been asking me that. This is also the year 2000, 10 years ago. Now, the confession here, if that's the right word, is I'm married to a Democrat. So, been married to her for 22 years. My wife, Carol, love her to death. We don't agree on all things political, But in the year 2000, some family money went to Al Gore. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, all contributions are up on our website. It's for the world to see. So I've been asked this question for 10 years. So the question is, well, was it because I supported Gore too, or what? Now, we've been clear about this. I voted for President Bush in 2000. Then I moved my entire family to Washington, D.C. to work for President Bush in 2001 and 2002. And then in 2004, I voted for President Bush again. So that's what I did. Now, my wife voted for other people, but I did. Okay, people who've investigated this know this to be the case. So does Meg Whitman. Now, what did Meg Whitman do in 2000? She actually endorsed Al Gore. Now, she didn't vote in 2000 because she didn't vote in most elections. But it's on the record that she endorsed Al Gore for president. I voted for Bush. She endorsed Al Gore. In 2004, what did Meg Whitman do? Well, she contributed to Barbara Boxer. She endorsed Barbara Boxer, and she joined Barbara Boxer's campaign team. And there's this letter that Meg Whitman sent out to all of her Silicon Valley friends saying that Barbara Boxer is a courageous leader, quote unquote. And she did vote in 2004. So, Meg Whitman voted for Barbara Boxer in 2004. Not only voted for, I mean, actually actively campaigned for. And then in 2008, what was Meg Whitman doing? Well, she was on a boat cruise with Van Jones. Now, when she got off this global warming exploration boat cruise to the Arctic with Van Jones, what did she say about Van Jones? She got to eat dinner with him and met him, and I'm a big fan of Van Jones, quote unquote. That's what she said. So when you compare, the track records here, mine's not perfect. I've done things I would do differently, but there's night and day. I'm a lifelong Republican, lifelong conservative. She's never been a registered Republican until recently. She never voted until recently. But when she did participate in political activities, they were not only liberal, but extremely liberal.
Just to be clear, in 2000, although money went to the Gore campaign from your family, did any family money go to the Bush campaign?
It did in 2004.
Okay, but not 2000.
Not in 2000. By the way, I applied to work for President Bush in February of 2001. So the Gore-Bush contest had been decided by then. And then, I saw who was president, and then I applied to go work for him. I was accepted out of 1,000 applicants, and then moved my entire family to go work for him. So, actions speak louder than words here. And so her campaign, maybe it doesn't irritate you, but it irritates some people on our campaign, just because it's just such a false, negative. It's meant to deceive people, and that's why we're punching back, we're setting the record straight, talking about her background, and we're comparing and contrasting, and it's working. And that's why the polls are moving so rapidly in our direction.
None of us, I don't think, are fans of deception either. When I asked your campaign for the supporting information on her endorsement of Al Gore, you guys generously sent